And we are live. Hello, hello, everybody on this beautiful Friday. Welcome to Conversations on Purpose number 8. I am Esther, Purpose Catalyst and Transformational Coach. And it's so extremely fitting. I was just chatting with Mark that today is actually episode number 8. The old adage for number 8 is as above, so below. And that's super fitting for my guest today, Mark Weiss, who is a long-term, Mark, you've been a painter now, a dedicated painter, fine art painter for a good 40 years. Mark has had exhibitions nationally, internationally, you name it. And something beautiful happened with Mark 2016. A film was actually made about him and the work that he does called The Invisible World. And it won awards in both film festivals in Berlin and also in Sedona. On top of it, I know we're going to have a super interesting conversation today. Mark, for 30 years now, has been an astrologer. And I know he shared that his quest is really to understand the inner workings of the human psyche. And his explorations, both as a painter and as an astrologer, really work beautifully hand in hand to inform his quest and exploration. Welcome, Mark. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you.
Absolutely.
I miss you at yoga.
Yeah, same thing. Just for everybody to share, we met at yoga, Birchwood Yoga. Locals are very much welcome with it. And we used to have a chance to chat here and there quite a bit. Yeah, I miss that too.
Yeah. Do you still practice?
100%. I do. I have my home practice. That was the beautiful gift in it. You know, I started that even before last year. And that's actually something that you really prompted me to do. Everybody, to key you in, Rich and I both have had a chance to visit Mark at his studio several times. We've both also have been recipients of astrological readings. And something that Mark taught us is to have a discipline. I don't know if you remember that. The importance.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
That you have a self practice. It takes discipline, you know, and good.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And Mark, do you want to share with everybody a little bit about your background and how did you actually get into art? Because I know originally you studied psychology. How did that happen for you?
So I took no one in the whole school systems through college saw that I was an artist. My last class in college was art history, which blew me away, kind of. And it was in preparation for taking a job with some friends who had this traveling show in the Midwest where they were selling classical art posters to universities. And I just started getting attracted to it. And I bought myself an oil set and I started copying them. I have one right here if you want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Can you see that? Wait, which way do I have to go? Well,
yeah.
It's
yes.
Yeah, it's the card players of Cezanne. And this one here is Raphael Sawyer. I'm not working this so well. But anyway.
We'll figure it out. Yes.
So I got into graduate school for psychology, and I was going to the Art Students League just to draw at the same time. And I had this amazing big choice which to do, and I chose the art. And the things that you don't choose, kind of scream at you.
Yeah.
And when the astrology came in, I came back to it a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
it's also a zen in a way that it chooses you, you know, and you have the opportunity to follow it or not, you know. And I don't know, I just had the strength to do it. I went through it, you know. Usually, family has pursuing something like that, it's easier, but you know, I kind of like struck out on my own, and it was hard. It was hard to, you know, everyone was telling me not to do it, not to do it. You know,
Mm-hmm. Of
it's
course.
too hard a life, you know. And I think a success for an artist, after 40 years, it's not about selling as much as not caving in,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And if you can, you know, endure it, it's
Mm-hmm.
a win.
Yeah, and you shared with us when we came to visit you, you really have a discipline. You have a specific routine and approach to your day to kind of structure and anchor the creative, the arts into
Yeah,
the 3D world. Yeah.
yeah. I had to do that.
Yeah.
There was no outside discipline, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just I feel better in a routine. You know,
Mm-hmm.
anyone who knows about astrology, I have no Earth, so I'm not that grounded, and I had to force myself to discipline, and I stuck to it. You know, uh, I've stuck to it all these years. I'm easing up now as I get a little older.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and there's an incredible, Mark has an incredible body of work. And for not having Earth,
yeah,
you've really disciplined yourself and really created a
yeah,
substantial
yeah.
paintings. Do you want to swing your camera for a moment to just
Oh,
give
sure.
everybody a
I don't
peek?
know. Is it? This is the studio. I
Yes.
don't know if you could see.
Yeah. And I
Um,
think the painting to the right, yes. Wow. Wow.
this is
Wow.
I don't know. But
That's
you know, I have thousands of works.
yes. Yeah.
This this painting is Saul's Cave, and this was done. This is where Saul goes crazy in this cave and falls on his sword. And
Hmm.
I think it's the first you know, first suicide ever recorded.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
this was a month before my clinical depression, you
Hmm.
know, and so I knew something was coming. That
Hmm.
and so we talk about that in a while if you want. But
Hmm.
so then I you know I pursued the painting, and I took jobs at night, you know, bartending and whatnot to make a living. And I've been a 9 to 5 artist for 42 years now. So
Hmm. That's incredible. And
yeah,
then sort of the subject and what you paint about, what inspires your subject matters? Where's that coming from? Because I know you refer to Jungian psychology a lot, if I remember that right.
yeah, hmm yeah. So I get free of every thought I have when I paint. You know, I just try to empty myself, and I
Mhm.
start with nothing. And it's the freest way of painting. You know, I don't know how much I have to say, ego with my ego. You know, so this, so I wait for things to happen on the canvas. I move the paint around, and I start seeing images, and a whole world starts presenting, and then I use my artistic abilities to bring them out.
Mhm.
And what it is that you can't know your interior world unless you project it onto a screen. You know,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, you need to be in relationship with someone to see how they respond to something you say, and then that gives you an indication of who you are, you know. But you need, you know, so I think I was just projecting my inner world, and many of the first layers are very dark, you know, and I think this is why a lot of people are afraid of moving into the inner world, because they have to go through a lot of these monsters. You know, I think every abuse and dishonesty becomes a monster in the psyche, and neglected, they grow. And so
Yeah.
when you approach your inner world, and anyone can do it through dream work, or, you know, um, and when you approach it, you meet them, and most people run away, you know. But as Carl Jung said, the best thing any individual can do to turn, you know, that there's a big darkness hovering over the whole world, and that's the best thing an individual can do. If you turn your back on it, the darkness grows, you know.
Well, yeah, just to chime in here, what I find is, because I use that, I work with that a lot in my coaching practice, and actually befriending those parts, and that
Yes.
they have messages. There's a richness. They're there for a reason. They protect. They want to, they want to protect us. Sometimes in a funny way that's not really helpful, but that's really what they're there for.
Exactly.
And yeah.
The,
Mhm.
the psyche is autonomous. Like our
Mhm.
egos have no say. It's given us information how to balance our lives, and you
Mhm.
know, it's there to help us, even though
Mhm.
it's showing us some monsters sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the work that you create and what people are seeing really comes out of the depths of who you are and your own explorations of when you put on your, I don't know, your gear, your little headlight,
Yeah.
like a cave diver.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. A friend of mine wrote a poem about that. It's called "The Fool's Mask," and he said that I put on this mask when I paint, and I'm able to go into these worlds. And when I take it off, I'm just, you know, I just do what everyone else does. I mean, I don't have, I'm able to shut it off and move into it and out of it, which is helpful, you know. But I'm not afraid of it anymore. So,
Mhm.
you know, sometimes you get a lot of dark imagery and say, I've seen you enough, you know. I'm gonna wipe you out and see what else you got.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a bottomless pit, the unconscious. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
you can never have painter's block if you approach it as not trying to impose yourself, and let it come up, you know. So
Yeah, 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 for sure. It's so, the inner world is so interesting, and that's I can relate to that. That's where I get a lot of
yeah,
my inspiration from.
yeah,
So how did astrology end up
coming in.
coming into the
Yes.
picture?
So I had a bad breakup with a friend mentor uh, in about 1989, and uh, I went into this a few months later into this clinical depression, um, which is very common. You know, it's divorces, deaths, breakups. You know, send people into a huge growth through,
Mhm.
you know, through horror sometimes. And I don't know if anyone, you know, of your viewers know about have experienced clinical depression, but it's a nightmare, and the unconscious overruns you, and you're bombarded with terrors and fears, and And if you endure it with the mercy of the gods, you know, you can. There's usually some kind of gift awaiting you at the end. You know, I know your last interview was talking about the dark night of the soul. You know, and so this is what it was, and that's where the journey really begins. As the alchemist said, in the dung heap, in the dark, the journey begins. And so my gift was the astrology that came to me through a dream. It's something happened 29 years ago, and I started thinking about why is this coming up now? You know, 29 years later. And I just, you know, I saw it revolving. And then I found out that the planet Saturn takes 29 years to revolve around the sun. And I was painting a picture of Saturn's wife fending him off from meeting his children, as it is in the mythologies, you know. So I don't know, one thing led to another. I sought out some people, and within months I knew the whole thing. I knew how it worked. And it's reading symbols, you know. It's not, you know, they try to say, is it a science or not? But it's not a science. It's an art form of reading symbols, and I think the painting led me to it. You know, I had in the movie you could see some paintings that prefaced it. You know, it's Adam naming the planets and an eclipse and the instructions, and so I followed that, you know, and I await the next step. But you know, so I've read thousands of charts through the years, and it's amazing to me how it works. It's just amazing. You know, it saved my life in a lot of ways. It gave me a way to dialogue with energy. You know, all this, you know, I'm very porous as things come through me. And it gave me a way to dialogue with that energy, to know its positive and negative manifestations. It's great with relationships, comparing two charts of where the friction is, and, you know, it's very helpful. And it ultimately leads to forgiveness. And when you find out that other people have different energies and biases, you know, and your mother, you know, your mother, your father, the moon in a chart is someone's sense of nurturing. And if your moon is opposed to your mother's moon, you have two different ideas about what nurturing means. And so you can start to forgive people that they have a different energy, you know, and that was very important. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I was born under a full moon.
You were. I know you were.
Yeah, I know you are. You were sharing, you pulled up my chart. Yeah. Yeah. I hear that when you're born under a full moon, because it's the masculine and the feminine at the same time. So there's a little bit of an inner tug of war.
Yeah.
And yes.
In modern day world, usually the mother and father are divorced, you know, or at odds in some way, you know, but not necessarily, you know.
Yeah.
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 So.
Yeah. And so I wanted to ask you, since we the conversation, I call them conversations on purpose. In your journey then, with all your experiences through the art, the astrology, how are you with purpose? Do you feel that, yes, you found your sense of purpose? Did that take a long time for you? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I feel like I found the beginnings of it when I started painting. But
Mhm.
I was tortured by the difficulty of living that life,
Mhm.
um, not having the money, and um, but I think purpose and meaning is not static. It's not linear. You know, a young artist asked me recently. He says, I don't know if I'm on the right track. What I'm doing. And I thought, and I said, I've been at this almost 40 years, and I wake up every day and ask the same question. Am I on the right track? And what do the gods want from me?
Mhm.
Uh, so I think it's kinetic. I think it's always moving. Um, but that being said, when I paint, I feel centered and grounded. And when I don't paint for any length of time, I feel lost. And I think that feeling state has to be acknowledged.
Mhm.
If you're feeling like, if you follow your feelings about what you're doing, and it's not feeling good, you're probably not in the right spot. you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
Um, I also I love the fact that I'm a medium, and that it's coming. I don't, like I said, I don't have any preconceived notions when I paint. I throw paint on, and I wait for the world to start showing itself to me, and I use my abilities to bring it out. And I feel like um, some higher entities are working through me,
Mhm.
and that gives me tremendous sense of purpose and meaning. That I'm able to work with that and bring that out. I don't know where the paintings are coming from. I think many artists feel that way. That
Mhm.
that there is something beyond them that's making this happen.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that in the astrology also, I, that that there's in a session there is something working beyond me and the client. That is um, very special, and especially if the person is open. I could feel it. I get goosebumps. And this is just it's been a great compliment to my solitary life as a painter, because now I can help and be with someone and not be about me, which is very rewarding. I like that. It brings back my psychology that I abandoned, all those years ago, my
Mhm.
counseling abilities, and so I think that's my sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you reminded me of a couple of things with the corporate interior design work I do. I sometimes feel that it comes from a place outside myself. And I always felt that that was it. That was my thing until I came across coaching. And it's when you are in that relationship with somebody else and you helping
Yeah,
somebody else. It's just the best.
it's a
It's
rewarding, very rewarding.
so rewarding. And I would agree with you that also anchoring that sense of purpose
Hmm.
uh, in with that in then in helping being in that relationship and helping others
Yeah,
along the way.
yeah. The painting, someone said to me once that not everyone has to lead a helping life. You can be a painter. And I thought to myself, I never considered painting to be self-oriented or selfish. I thought I was contributing to the world by releasing these images, and um, but it is alone. It's not like a musician who can play with another musician. And we are social animals, and the working with clients is very special. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say yes, artists and like you, like your art is helping people. Your art is, I can say it, I've personally experienced that it's deeply moving
Yeah,
and wakes up and inspires
yeah.
people to connect with themselves on a deeper level.
That's very nice. That's what I'm hoping for. I mean,
Mhm.
I call them anagogues. These are symbols that defy meaning, that they put you in a place that's very spiritual and numinous, and
Mhm.
they're open. So it's the viewer's painting now, you know, and they get to create their own story now. And when I first started painting, if I painted a tree and someone saw a bus, I would be very upset, you know.
Mhm.
But now I love it. I'm bored with my own interpretation. I love other people taking it over and going into it as their own,
Mhm.
And I think it's helpful. I think that they can enter that psychic world in some of these paintings on their own, So
Yeah. I
mm,
see sometimes you post pieces on your Facebook page and you ask people for what do they think the title should be,
yeah,
and people get really engaged with that. Mhm.
I try to get them involved. I did a show once where I put out papers at each painting and didn't put titles, and I asked for titles. You know,
Mhm.
they were reluctant to participate, but
Mhm.
I I'm interested in how everyone sees the world so different. I can get 100 different replies to one painting that are so different from each other.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
amazing,
Mhm.
But
Yeah. Mhm. Nice. Can you
yeah,
talk about? I'm curious, and for everybody that would like to watch it, and I'll be definitely sharing the link. Can you talk a little bit about the film, The Invisible World?
yeah, it was uh, directed by another local NIAC person, Jen Finneran. She's Emmy nominated for, I think it was Never Sorry, about the Chinese artist Weiwei. Um, and so um, we talked about it for a while, and finally she was into it. And we did about 8 hours of filming and interview, and she had to boil it down to 13 minutes, and we made a short. That the film festivals like it short. And we were in a dozen film festivals, and we won the two that you mentioned, short documentaries, and I paint on it. I show the how I paint the paintings in progress to show how they take form, to help people, you know, um, uh, when they ask me how I do it. I
Mhm.
thought, well, if I photograph it, maybe that'll give them an idea, And so we just released it to YouTube, the movie, and so I'm trying to get it seen by more people, and difficult, everything has to be internet now, and it's we're kind of locked into the amount of people we know on our internet,
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
and our social pages.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it would be very helpful to a lot of people,
Mhm. Yeah, I'll be sure to post the link so that
Yeah,
people
thank you.
can watch it. Absolutely, 100%. Because right now, otherwise, I'd say, hey, watch out for one of Mark's open studio tours, but that's not probably not happening right now.
Yeah, soon, I guess.
Soon, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe December. Maybe it'll be all right.
Yes, I know that's usually you, and Joan shows some of her work too, so
Yeah,
that's always really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have to say, I mean, you had your, for sure, trials and tribulations along the way, but credit to you, you stuck with it. You created a routine that worked for you and really hung in there and have
Yeah.
created an incredible body of work. Um, I'm sure that you have dedicated followers and collectors, and even a film made
Yeah.
about you. That's really, really incredible.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
happy for you that you're getting the recognition that you for sure deserve.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So, any tips you have for, I mean, you gave out a lot of golden nuggets here, but in summary, sort of any tips that you want to give anybody, artist or non-artist, pursuing something that's calling
Yeah.
for them on purpose?
Yeah. I think discipline.
Mm,
To set aside that time to go into what's ever calling them,
mm,
and to make it a religious practice. Don't let anything take you away from that.
mm,
I think that's the way in. The hard work. There's a lot of virtues that need to be honed as a as an artist, or I guess anyone who you need patience,
mm,
you need endurance. Like I said in the movie, um, can you put 10,000 strokes on a painting and have nothing, and still go back to it the next day and try to So you have to persevere, and give yourself time. It doesn't you know, give yourself a Saturn cycle, 7 years. Give yourself 7 years, and then critique yourself
mm,
about whether it's right or not. It takes time.
mm. I think that's such good and important advice in a time and world where people expect everything just happens like that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
overnight successes. Um, and it does take time. The reality
yeah,
is, no matter what you do, it does take time, and it's so good to hear and know about the 7 year cycle.
yeah, yeah. And then
Mm,
if that's okay, give yourself another 7.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Did
Yeah.
you did you hear yesterday that they have these new things, NTFs, I think they're called, where people are selling digital. Someone sold digital painting for $69 million.
Wow, NTFs,
I
huh?
think that's what it is. It's not even the original paint. It's the digital photograph of it or something. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Mm, interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So, Mark, where can people find you these days? How can they connect with you, follow you, and see what you're up to?
Sure. For On Facebook, and they can message me there, for astrology or for painting. Um, my website has my email. You can email me, and on Instagram, and you can meet me there. So I'm not. I don't like teaching art that much.
Mhm,
I don't mind teaching astrology though. I like
mhm,
that. But
mhm,
uh, but if anyone wants to see the paintings, the studio, soon
mhm,
it'll be
mhm.
open open with this.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know if they want an astrology reading, they can contact me there.
Mhm. Yeah, I already chatted with Mark beforehand. I'm gonna get my next astrology reading,
Yeah.
so I encourage anybody who is interested to reach out. And I see people are listening in live. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. I see there are some questions in my conversations. I really focus in on the person that I'm in conversation with. So I'm going to circle back and see if I can answer or respond to any other questions. But typically I don't answer them during the conversations. So Mark, so great to connect with you today. Thank you for making
Thanks,
time.
Esther. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And everybody have a nice day. Thanks for listening in.
Okay, thank you.